I used to think that drinking plain water all day was the single best way to stay hydrated in my late 60s. After all, that's the advice we've heard for decades. Just drink more water. But as I moved into my late 60s, I started noticing some unexpected problems. My energy levels dipped in the afternoons, my joints felt stiffer, and I even had more nighttime bathroom visits, which affected my sleep. When I spoke with friends my age, I realized I wasn't alone. Many of us struggle to stay properly hydrated. We sip from our water bottles dutifully, yet we still experience fatigue, dry skin, or muscle cramps. That got me curious. Why, despite drinking plain water like clockwork, were so many of us in our golden years still facing issues tied to dehydration? It turns out that as we age, our sense of thirst can become less reliable. We might not notice we're dehydrated until we have a headache, feel dizzy, or develop muscle cramps. Some of us also take medications that alter fluid balance, making water intake even trickier. Once I began exploring ways to improve hydration, I discovered something surprising. Infusing water with fruits, herbs, or even a pinch of spice can be a game changer. By adding natural flavors and, in some cases, subtle electrolytes, I found myself drinking more consistently throughout the day. Suddenly, my afternoon sluggishness diminished, and I felt a gentle boost in my mood. This shift might seem small, but for those of us in our 60s, 70s, and beyond, small changes often lead to big improvements in our daily comfort and quality of life. It also helps that infused water feels like a treat rather than a chore. Plain water can become monotonous. Having a glass of cucumber and mint-infused water can turn hydration into something we anticipate rather than something we force ourselves to do. If you've ever felt guilty because you weren't meeting the 8 glasses a day guideline, or you simply dislike the taste of plain water, you're in the right place. By the end of this conversation, you'll see how a bit of creativity with natural ingredients can transform your hydration routine, help you stay more consistent, and even bring a bit of joy to your kitchen. What I'm about to share isn't medical advice. Always talk with your healthcare provider if you have concerns, especially about interactions with any medications you might be taking. But I've spent years exploring culinary techniques that cater to the changing needs of older adults. My hope is that by the time we're done here, you'll feel inspired to try new ways of staying hydrated that go beyond just water. We'll discuss a few common misconceptions, share practical tips for making your own infused water, and explore 3 of my favorite recipes. Who knows? You might just find a recipe that helps you drink more fluids without feeling like it's a chore. Along the way, we'll also discuss how better hydration can uplift your mood, support more comfortable digestion, and help you feel more energized for those daily walks or time spent with grandkids. I'd love to know what you think as we go. Feel free to share in the comments if you've tried any of these approaches or if you have your own tips. Sometimes the best advice comes from folks who've been there and figured out a solution that works. Let's get started by challenging the assumption that plain water is the only healthy drink for older adults, and explore why a bit of extra flavor might be just what we need to feel our best. Have you ever found yourself forcing down glass after glass of water, only to realize that you're not feeling any more hydrated, or simply dreading the bland taste? Let's look at why that might be happening and how a little twist can make a big difference. It's common to assume that as long as you're meeting a certain number of cups of water each day, you're in the clear. Yet many older adults, myself included, discover that plain water sometimes feels too boring to drink consistently. Even though 8 glasses a day has been the rule of thumb for years, this traditional advice rarely accounts for factors like medications that can alter your fluid needs, changes in taste buds, or decrease thirst signals. Margaret, who's 72, once told me that she set an alarm every hour to drink a small glass of water. She followed through for several weeks, yet still felt parched in the afternoon and experienced mild leg cramps. This puzzled her because, by the numbers, she was getting enough fluid. The misconception here is that water alone always fulfills your hydration needs. The reality is that our bodies also crave some variety in flavor, mild electrolytes, and other nutrients, particularly if we sweat more in the summer or if we're taking diuretics or other medications that affect how we retain fluid. In Margaret's case, the solution involved adding a pinch of sea salt and slices of fresh fruit to her water. Once she tried this, she found herself sipping more willingly and discovered that her leg cramps and afternoon dryness gradually subsided. Why? The gentle electrolyte boost and appealing taste made her more consistent in her intake, and the natural fruit sugars, though minimal, provided an easier path to hydration. The practical fix here is simple. Instead of relying on water alone, consider easy upgrades. Add a few slices of citrus or cucumber to your pitcher. Experiment with a dash of sea salt and fresh herbs like mint or basil. Use fruit that you already have on hand, especially if it's close to getting overripe. For many seniors, the emotional benefit of these infusions is just as significant as the physical one. When something tastes pleasant, you're more likely to reach for it throughout the day. Dehydration often creeps up on older adults who are trying to drink enough water but lack the enthusiasm to keep at it. That's why the small act of flavoring your water can spark a sense of enjoyment and even creativity in the kitchen. It transforms hydration from a dull must-do into a more mindful practice that engages your senses. If you're concerned about sugar content, keep in mind that infusing water isn't the same as blending the fruit or adding juice. Infused water imparts a hint of sweetness and nutrients without loading you up on sugars. Of course, if you have conditions like diabetes, you'll want to monitor how fruit infusions fit into your overall meal plan. A quick chat with your healthcare provider can offer reassurance or specific guidelines. As you reflect on your current water habits, ask yourself, do you truly enjoy the taste of what you're drinking, or are you forcing yourself out of a sense of duty? Let's keep that question in mind as we move forward. Next, we'll look at how hydration can be more than just about quenching thirst. It can also be a cost-effective way to incorporate trace nutrients into your daily life. Another popular assumption is that hydration is only about thirst. Many of us figure, if I'm not thirsty, I'm probably fine. But changes in older adulthood mean thirst isn't always a reliable indicator. One senior, Carl, who's 74, was shocked when his doctor pointed out signs of mild dehydration, dry mouth, elevated heart rate, and occasional dizziness when standing up. Yet Carl rarely felt thirsty. He had been drinking when he felt the need, but that need simply wasn't registering the way it used to. Carl's story highlights an all-too-common misconception. Thirst alone isn't the best gauge of hydration, especially as we age. The key takeaway here is that planning your fluid intake can protect you from those subtle signs of dehydration that might go unnoticed until they become more serious. That's where infused water can play a significant role. When you have a pitcher of something delicious right in your fridge, you're much more inclined to pour a glass, even if you're not explicitly feeling thirsty. Consider a simple routine. In the morning, fill a pitcher with water, add a few slices of your favorite fruit, and toss in some herbs or a sprinkle of spice. This ritual not only encourages you to stay ahead of dehydration, but also helps you visualize exactly how much you're consuming throughout the day. And if you're worried about cost, remember that you can use fruit scraps or herbs grown on a windowsill to keep it budget-friendly. Lemon rinds, cucumber ends, or bruised berries can all add a subtle yet delightful flavor, saving you from discarding produce that's still perfectly usable. Emotionally, there's comfort in knowing you're taking proactive steps to care for your body. Many seniors wrestle with a sense of losing control over their health as they age. Setting up an infused water pitcher is a gentle daily reminder that you still have plenty of agency. You can control how much flavor you add, you can choose the produce that appeals to you, and you can enjoy a tasty beverage on your terms. This act fosters a sense of independence and self-care, an often overlooked benefit that goes beyond mere hydration. If you're ready to give it a try, start small. Maybe fill a medium-sized pitcher, enough to last you through lunchtime, and see if you notice a difference in how you feel by mid-afternoon. And if plain fruit water doesn't quite do it for you, try mixing fresh herbs. Basil pairs surprisingly well with berries, mint goes well with citrus, and rosemary can add a sophisticated touch to melon-infused water. Before we jump into specific recipes, I'd love to hear your thoughts so far. Have you experimented with infused water before, or is this idea completely new to you? Take a moment to consider what might feel like the easiest first step in your own kitchen. Then let's discover 3 of my favorite recipes that not only taste great, but also offer a range of subtle benefits for older adults. Now let's explore a delightful pineapple and basil combination that might change the way you think about hydration. You might assume that pineapple is too sugary to be healthy, especially if you're mindful of blood sugar levels. However, when used simply as an infusion, pineapple can offer a refreshing sweetness without a high sugar impact. Think of Cheryl, 69, who loved pineapple but avoided it for years because she worried about the sugar content. She used to watch her grandkids eat pineapple chunks while she stuck to plain water. When she finally tried pineapple-infused water, she realized that it was far gentler on her blood sugar than she'd expected. She wasn't consuming the fruit itself in large amounts, just allowing slices to steep in water. The misconception here is that fruit-flavored water is equivalent to juice or sugary beverages. In reality, the infusion process adds a subtle hint of flavor and nutrients without the concentrated sugars you get from juice. Plus, basil brings not only an herby aroma, but also small amounts of antioxidants. Together, these flavors can make your water taste like a tropical treat, something fun and uplifting rather than medicinal or dull. To make pineapple basil infused water, start by gathering a few fresh pineapple chunks, about 3 or 4 will do, and a handful of washed basil leaves. Lightly bruise the basil leaves by rolling them between your fingers. This helps release their natural oils. Place the pineapple and basil into a pitcher, fill with cold water, and let it sit for at least 15 to 30 minutes. You can remove the pineapple if you prefer a subtler taste, or leave it in longer for a stronger infusion. If you're sensitive to strong flavors, you might just steep it for an hour and then switch to fresh water while reusing the fruit. That way you can control how intense the flavor becomes. On a practical note, pineapple is also a source of bromelain, an enzyme that some people find soothing for digestion. While you're not ingesting large quantities of it in infused water, even a mild amount could be a comforting addition for those who experience slight digestive discomfort. Emotionally, there's something about the bright, tropical essence of pineapple that can perk up your mood, especially on a day when you might feel sluggish or fatigued. The combination of sweet pineapple and earthy basil can also serve as a conversation starter if you have friends or family over. They'll likely be curious about what's in your glass. This small interaction can open up discussions about healthy choices, turning your personal hydration routine into a shared experience. Ready to try it? Keep in mind you can experiment with ratios. If you want more basil flavor, add extra leaves. If you need more sweetness, increase the pineapple. Just remember that a little goes a long way. Give it a try for a few days and see if it motivates you to drink more water. Who knows, you might even look forward to refilling your glass every hour or so. Next, let's talk about a classic combination that's easy to find year-round: lemon, cucumber, and mint. One might think, cucumber water? That's for fancy spas, not for everyday folks like me. But there's a reason cucumber water is a staple in many wellness circles. It's hydrating, light, and surprisingly soothing. Combine that with lemon's natural vitamin C and mint's refreshing burst of flavor, and you have a hydrating trio that's both invigorating and gentle on the stomach. Meet Robert, age 70, who used to skip fruit or herb infusions entirely, thinking they were too much fuss. However, he noticed he was getting bored with plain water and started having more frequent headaches. A friend recommended cucumber water, which Robert initially thought was too fancy. But once he tried it, he realized it was incredibly easy to prepare and made drinking water feel like a mini luxury. The misconception that hydration has to be basic or bland often holds us back. In reality, even small touches, like a slice of cucumber, can make water more palatable and encourage frequent sips. The subtle crispness of cucumber pairs beautifully with the tang of lemon and the cooling effect of fresh mint. If you keep a small herb pot in your kitchen or windowsill, mint is one of the easiest herbs to grow, needing minimal maintenance. To prepare this infusion, slice half a cucumber into thin rounds, peeled or unpeeled depending on your preference. Slice half a lemon, removing seeds if possible to avoid bitterness, and toss in a few fresh mint leaves. Let the mixture sit in your pitcher of water for at least 15 minutes in the fridge. The longer it sits, the more pronounced the flavors will be. If you find the lemon overwhelming, remove it after half an hour and let the cucumber and mint continue to infuse. If you're watching your citrus intake due to acid sensitivity or interactions with certain medications, you can always omit or reduce the lemon. Just be sure to check with your healthcare provider if you're on any medications that caution against grapefruit or other citrus. Most don't affect lemon, but it's worth asking. From a physical standpoint, cucumber provides mild potassium, and mint has been associated with calming effects on the stomach. Again, these aren't miracle cures, but every small contribution to your nutrient intake helps, especially when the alternative might be skipping water altogether. Emotionally, there's a subtle feeling of self-care that arises from opening your fridge and seeing a cool pitcher with fresh slices of cucumber floating inside. It reminds you that you're prioritizing your wellness in a way that's both simple and fulfilling. If you're prone to dryness in the mouth or simply want a refreshing beverage after a short walk outside, lemon cucumber mint water can be a perfect choice. And if you have grandchildren visiting, they might even enjoy this fancy water, turning hydration into a fun, multi-generational moment. This next recipe offers a similarly vibrant experience, but introduces a more unexpected herb choice: rosemary with watermelon. It may sound odd to pair rosemary with watermelon. Typically, we think of rosemary with roasted potatoes or chicken. Yet a sprinkle of rosemary can transform the sweetness of watermelon into a bright, herb-infused delight that stands out from other fruit waters. Susan, who's 71 and a passionate gardener, shared with me that she grows rosemary year-round. She once had surplus watermelon after a family barbecue and decided to experiment. She cut up leftover watermelon chunks, added a sprig of rosemary into her water pitcher, and was pleasantly surprised. "It was like a spa day in my kitchen," she said, "and it didn't feel like I was forcing myself to drink water anymore." The common misconception is that strong herbs like rosemary can only be used in savory cooking, but if you've ever sipped rosemary-infused lemonade, you'll know how well it complements sweetness. Watermelon, when used as an infusion, exudes a gentle sweetness that pairs beautifully with the piney aroma of rosemary. The key is to use just a small sprig. Too much rosemary can overwhelm the delicate flavor of watermelon. You only need a few chunks of watermelon to impart flavor. If you prefer a less sweet infusion, remove the watermelon pieces after an hour or so, replacing them with fresh water if needed. Aside from flavor, watermelon contains high water content, over 90%, making it naturally hydrating. Rosemary, on the other hand, is a source of certain antioxidants and has a pleasant aroma that many find uplifting. When you combine them, you get a beverage that feels both calming and revitalizing, perfect for those moments when you need an afternoon pick-me-up without turning to coffee or sugary snacks. Emotionally, experimenting with an unexpected pair like watermelon and rosemary can spark curiosity and creativity, which is especially rewarding for seniors who enjoy cooking or gardening as a pastime. It breaks the monotony of routine, and every sip can feel like a new discovery. On a practical level, using leftover watermelon is an excellent way to reduce food waste. The same goes for rosemary. If you have a rosemary plant in your garden, it's a great way to make use of fresh sprigs instead of letting them go unused. If you decide to serve this to friends or family, it can be a lovely conversation starter, much like the pineapple basil infusion. People will likely ask, "What's this interesting flavor I'm tasting?" That opens the door to sharing your newfound love for infused waters, inspiring others to give it a shot. Once you've mastered one or two infusions, you'll find countless combinations: strawberry lime mint, orange ginger, or even blueberry lavender if you're feeling adventurous. The possibilities are nearly endless, and the joy lies in discovering what best suits your palate and health considerations. We've now covered 3 recipes: pineapple basil, lemon cucumber mint, and watermelon rosemary, that I personally find delightful. Are you leaning toward trying any of these first? Feel free to drop a comment or share your thoughts. Next, let's address a common barrier. How do you make sure you stick with this new habit rather than returning to plain water out of convenience? Even with tasty recipes, many seniors worry that creating infused water will become a chore. They might also fear that it'll be expensive or time-consuming. Here's the truth. It can be as simple or elaborate as you want it to be. Some days you'll slice up fruit and make a vibrant pitcher of water. Other days, you might just toss a few cucumber peels into your glass, because that's what you have on hand. The key is to remove the misconception that you have to consistently craft perfect fruit infusions. Think of it like any other meal planning strategy. You do what makes sense that day. For example, James, 75, is on a fixed budget and doesn't always buy fresh herbs. Instead, he keeps a small stash of frozen fruit, like pineapple chunks or mixed berries, on hand. In the morning, he places a few frozen pieces into a water jug, and that's it. By lunchtime, the fruit has thawed and infused the water. It's cost-effective, there's no waste, and it keeps his routine stress-free. James says this small practice helps him stay hydrated enough that he no longer experiences that late afternoon fatigue. If you're still on the fence, remember that infused water can be prepared in bulk. You can make a larger batch once a day, or even prepare multiple pitchers if you'd like different flavors. Just be sure to store them in the refrigerator to keep everything fresh. Most fruit-infused waters taste best on the same day, though some combinations can last up to 2 days. If you find yourself pressed for time or energy, pick a simple combination, like just cucumber slices or only lemon wedges. That's still more exciting than plain water. From an emotional standpoint, adhering to a new hydration habit can instill a sense of accomplishment. At a time in life when changes to routine can feel more challenging, succeeding in a small health goal feels great. It's a gentle reminder that it's never too late to adopt new practices. Plus, the visual aspect of infused water, vibrant fruits and herbs floating in a clear pitcher, can be oddly motivating. It looks inviting, and that alone can help you drink more regularly without even thinking about it. To add an extra layer of motivation, consider keeping a small notebook or a simple chart where you note how many cups of water you've had that day. This isn't about obsessing over numbers, it's a friendly check-in. If you reach the early afternoon and see you're behind, you can quickly pour yourself a glass of that flavorful infusion, ensuring you stay on track. If you're someone who likes technology, there are also apps that send you water reminders. But sometimes a piece of paper on the fridge works just as well. No need for fancy gadgets. One final tip is to give yourself an out when you're not in the mood to fuss with fruit. Keep a batch of herbal tea, unsweetened chamomile, peppermint, or rooibos chilled in the fridge. It's another way to get flavorful hydration without doing extra prep. You can also combine herbal tea with fruit infusions if you're feeling adventurous. The goal here is to make consistent hydration as inviting, straightforward, and enjoyable as possible. When you put all of these ideas together, a few themes stand out. First, you're not stuck drinking plain water for the rest of your life. If the taste bores you, or you find yourself forgetting to drink, infused water offers a delicious and easy solution. Second, you have a variety of options. Pineapple basil for a tropical twist, lemon cucumber mint for a spa-like refresh, and watermelon rosemary for something more adventurous. Third, customizing these recipes to fit your personal health needs, budget, and preferences ensures you'll actually stick with the habit rather than abandoning it after a week. Why is this so important? Proper hydration is about more than just quenching thirst. It can support better digestion, help maintain stable blood pressure, reduce the risk of muscle cramps, and even assist with clearer thinking. Many seniors find that consistent fluid intake eases some of the minor discomforts they'd attributed to just getting older, like midday energy slumps and occasional dizziness. Better hydration might not cure every ailment, but it can significantly boost how you feel day to day. Now is the perfect time to picture how you could apply these simple steps in your own life. Can you see yourself placing a pitcher in the fridge tonight? Maybe adding slices of cucumber and a few mint leaves? Could you imagine popping a handful of frozen berries into your water jug before your morning walk? By envisioning these straightforward actions, you set yourself up for success. While there's no need to rush, don't procrastinate either. The longer you wait, the longer you might be dealing with symptoms that could be improved simply by sipping more appealing beverages. If you'd like to start immediately, pick just one recipe, maybe the pineapple basil, and gather those ingredients on your next grocery trip. Or if you happen to have cucumber and lemon in your fridge right now, try it today. Small, consistent steps often lead to the greatest improvements over time. If you're feeling inspired, here are a few suggestions for next steps. Share in the comments which infusion you plan to try first. Invite a friend or family member to join you in this experiment. Keep track of how you feel over the next week. Are you less tired? Is your skin less dry? Or have your leg cramps eased? No matter how you proceed, Remember that you're in the driver's seat when it comes to hydration. Advice from experts and friends can help guide you, but ultimately, you get to decide what works for your body, your schedule, and your taste buds. By being proactive now, you're more likely to enjoy greater comfort, independence, and the sense of well-being that comes with proper hydration. It's never too late to upgrade your daily routine, and the payoff can be immense. May your next glass of water bring not just hydration, but also a small spark of joy and discovery.